Welcome to the Emily Rassam Show, the podcast that proves parenting, business, and home life can all be juggled, just not always gracefully. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share because laughter and maybe chaos is better when it's spread around. Hello, and welcome to the Emily Rassam Show. I am your host, Emily, and today I am joined by one of my very good and old friends, Deonarine, and he is a social media marketing specialist. He's going to tell us a little about his role in marketing and how he got there.
Hey, Emily, it's great to have you on here. We actually met about 30 years ago. We went to a lot of the same schools, growing up in the same hometown. It's been great to reconnect with you. I went to school for digital design, and upon graduation, one of my friends hired me to do marketing for several of his media clients, which included an international speaker, sunglass companies locally here in town. And from there, it was mostly writing social media copy for social media posts. So I did that part time from home, also still working at the grocery store after graduating college. So it really goes to show you, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's good to have multiple streams of income. I know when I was younger, you feel like you want to hit it big, you want to go on YouTube and hit it big, but everything takes time. There's no such thing as overnight success. Like, build the business, do what you can, do that side hustle. And then when that is generating enough income, you'll actually be able to justify spending more time into that and then say quitting what you may consider a day job. I also want to tell people, no matter where you're at, you have those opportunities to serve people. If you want to work from home, which a lot of people, a lot of our young people, they want to work from home, stream online and stuff. That is all great. Your audience is the same people that you serve at work or at. I was in retail and restaurant for around 7 years. I would go online and do marketing, and I'd run into the same people over there. So it really just those questions to ask for business, like what product or service do you want to give to people? And people will actually come to you not only because they like your product, but because they like your branding, your voice, your messaging is very important. And when people, you can say it's not about being liked, it's just about being yourself. You don't need to put on airs. You don't need to, act a certain way. If you have quirks, use them on social media. Many people that are even younger than I am, like Gen Z, they're doing podcasts, telling jokes, all the stuff, breaking all of the rules that you would consider for media or for marketing.
Right.
And they are, yes, they're being themselves and sharing the info, their hobbies, their interests. I tell people you can monetize it. One of my local best friends found a way to monetize playing video games by live streaming them on TikTok. And that's actually going to be the crux of our interview, talking about social media, because there's thousands of people on here. 11 million people work from home on TikTok. It is possible to turn that side hustle with the power of social media, as well as leveraging brick and mortar as well. One of my close friends, she started creating soap products from home and other home care products. Then she branched out to selling them locally as a vendor and then creating a website and then going on social media where sales will come in also passively. So she leverages both in person and online.
I like that. Business. Tell us how you feel about this. Is it all about serving others? At the end of the day, business is figuring out how you serve other people. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I
Your
can.
opinions on that?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Yes, I find that,
Yes.
yeah, I find with business and really just in general, like business, when we talk about like currency or the flow of money, I find that not to necessarily lock yourself into one thing. I tell people this kind of goes back to even how we view ourselves, but I'll also to catch on that, touch on that later. Well, one of my friends who's a wonderful baker, she was able to ship cookies domestically. She got trained as a gourmet pastry chef. Now, instead of thinking herself as just a baker, she's going to be expanding out more products to showcase that skill. So I guess when it comes to business, it's more so, again, it's not like back in the day working 9 to 5 for a person. People are getting that itch about creating their own products because you get to pull in more of the profit working for yourself than for others, although it's nice to have a little bit of both. Did I touch on your question? I know I've kind of been monologuing here, but
A little bit, a little bit. So I was going to say, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, but the reason why my podcast focuses on business and self-improvement, because I feel that being in business also involves a huge spiritual journey. And there are very few people that I know in business that don't really have to work on that at the same time as they are building their business. Have you had any experience with that personally where you like also went on a spiritual journey to learn more and etc. at the same time? Can you tell us if that has happened to you? Because I know it's happened for me a lot, like having to learn or remember to take time to pray about business stuff or etc.
that's very true. I would say it had to do with my journey with dealing with what you could call a poverty mentality. That is where,
Yes.
yes, that is where I found myself growing in a lot of areas because I found myself, as with social media or with business in general, we blame ourselves or get on our own case when maybe products aren't selling, or in my case with helping ministers, when maybe donations aren't coming in, and it becomes a battle that
Right.
way. It's sort of like at the end of the day, we doing the best that we can. Are there maybe areas that we can improve on with our business to maybe get more of a flow of income? But yes, I find that it's for my personal philosophy, when you show up and be the best that you can be, people are attracted to that. There's something about the law of attraction when you go on confidently. If I go on a podcast like this and I'm like, you know what? Hi, my name's Aaron, and I'm being shy and I'm not very confident, that's not going to be attractive. You're probably going to turn off the podcast and listen to someone else, right? No, I am
Right.
confident in who I am, and I'm a believer in God and who He's created me to be. So when I also go and talk about business, I'm also talking about, like shining and being the best so we can, encouraging one another. Um, I'll also talk about, I do live streaming on TikTok now as well, where I'm talking to a lot of young people about business and
Right.
marketing. And they just, I just tell people, at the end of the day, like, are you happy with the things that you're able to do like online? Because it's not about the big donations or the sales, they'll come as you're actually having a good time and you're not like worried about money. Like I've been there where it's like almost the first of the month and the bill's going to come and all those things. But I felt for myself like God always made a way. Like He always provided maybe an opportunity. For a personal story, someone asked me to help with one of their websites. And at the same time, Comcast internet's been down. And it's like, oh no, things like that. I might actually switch to Starlink. I think I'm getting tired of Comcast, but I I recommended one of my business partners, one of my friends, to work on the website as well. So I kind of coached her as she was doing it. And when she finished the project as a surprise, she paid me half of the fee that she was paid for. So that was just like a nice bonus. Like being focused on helping people and finding out their needs. Like business, product, services, they're all about the needs of the people. And when you show people you really care about them, they will come back. And I mean that in a genuine way. I know that sounds like, kind of businessy to say, but when people trust you, they will come back and they'll want to listen to you. I've had people just buy things from me because they've decided they like me and they trust me. It's like, yeah, because really at the end of the day, we're all trying to we're trying to feed our families, we're trying to feed our kids. So I understand even with financial difficulty, I is a huge thing in business too. I appreciate for some that are like even some of the ministries that I help, they'll do like a giveaway, like, hey, we're gonna give away $100 gift card or something out of generosity, or hey, it's almost Christmas time. Put your cash app so that you can be blessed by someone else in the comment section just for a fun generosity thing. I think that also speaks a long way. And like that really helps to build some of these values can help to build up your character so that you'll actually even attract more of a clientele. I mean, we can talk about the opposite, where if you're mean spirited and you're stepping on people on the ladder to success, the Bible says you reap what you sow. So that's not what I would not recommend doing that. I'd recommend even in some environments where I understand there may be competition, but like, what are you happy with the end of the day with your work ethic and how you treated people?
Right, right. And that's another thing is when you're in business, getting used to doing all that work for yourself that you would have normally done for a boss. And it feels weird at first because you're like, oh, I'm not going to work that hard. But then once you get your clients coming, it's even worse than working for a boss because you're like, no, I need to deliver here. I need to do a good job because there are a bunch of people now counting on you. So that ball does get rolling as well. So first, next I would like to talk to you a little bit about your adventures onto TikTok and TikTok Live and tell us a little bit about your background numbers that you've been getting on that. Was that the one you were posting, or
Yeah.
did you send me your Facebook numbers? I forget which one
Yeah, no,
that you
it
sent.
was TikTok, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
so
Tell us
it
a little bit about this.
yes, actually, here's the thing, I'll save you a lot of time if you're listening and you want to start a TikTok account. People are doing the live streamings and, um, it's huge. So, it can turn into part-time or full-time income. The first thing I would suggest for you to do is to sign up for a TikTok agency. It is free to sign up. There's several online. What this will do is allow you to build your network a little quicker. If you guys know of the app Discord, the TikTok agency will send you a link to Discord. Well, they'll have a server with like hundreds of people. I specifically joined up with the Jaw agency. Another big one is GQ. There's also Trueform and other ones. A TikTok agency have special permission in the app so that if you get like a violation or your account is in trouble, they can go through the back door and actually get rid of that. Because when you're live streaming, you actually may get from the range of people flirting with you, that happens a lot of the time, and all the appropriate comments and stuff. You can actually assign people as moderators so that you can like mute or block, similar to chats on YouTube and Rumble as well. This growing on TikTok or on social media, it's all about building a community. If you keep seeing the rise of like mentorship programs and large community groups, it's because people are coming together and liking, commenting, sharing not only their posts, but also engaging on the live stream because that shows the algorithm like, oh, look, this is relevant. There are people here. And it's a chance, it's an opportunity for the app to make money. So specifically with TikTok, even as a live host, TikTok is taking a certain percentage from the earnings and then, giving a good portion to the creator. There's three ways you can actually make money on TikTok. How about that? And you can do all of them. And here's to save you guys some time. For TikTok Shop, which is being a TikTok affiliate, you can once you get to 1,000 followers, you'll get limited access to do TikTok live streams for selling products and also TikTok shop videos where they pay up to 15% if you sell products. It's sort of like similar to being an Amazon affiliate, but instead TikTok, they have a line of similar products. I sold some Dubai chocolate bars and some stuff over Christmas, which was pretty cool. They sent me some health supplements as free samples. I couldn't get approved for any other free sample except for that. So I was like, okay, I'll sell some of those too. If you want to do TikTok shop, if you'd like to do TikTok shop affiliate, I recommend creating. You can switch accounts and make new accounts. Your account have it be all TikTok shop, so that way the algorithm knows and TikTok recognizes your account that way. If you want to do live hosting, I recommend creating a second account that focuses on that. TikTok will save your live streams for 30 days and you can make highlight reels, which you can post right on your wall. TikTok live, they usually unlock it after a few hundred followers. And then when you're on there, there's the whole system of people can just leave little gift donations and people are jumping in and hopping out in order to support. That all comes with building a community. I've been getting greater, as the screenshot that I showed you, I've been getting more traction because I've been hanging out with the bigger rooms that have hundreds of people coming in. So I was
Right.
able to get to, as far as my total social media following, a bigger number. So I just keep connecting with more people and they're jumping in my live rooms and we're keeping the ball rolling. So with these techniques, you can apply to Facebook and Instagram as well. I find that easy. I have a link tree, which lets you bundle all of your related links all together. So that way, when people come to your profile, I'll have my link at the very top and people can go visit it. That all counts as attraction. Marketing, the heart of marketing is to get as many eyes on your product as you can, or website, branding, product, all of that good stuff. Even just posting to your story once in a while so that people see your bubble, that counts as marketing. Why is it that you go to Starbucks? You went to Starbucks because you got an email or someone on TikTok posted about the new banana bread matcha and the Dubai chocolate bites that they have currently. It's all about marketing. That's why companies like Starbucks pays millions of dollars to put those products in your face in order for you to come buy them. Word of mouth, emails, radio, all the fun things.
Yes, all the fun things and all of the time consuming things. So that was something you were going to tell us about being a little more efficient with our posting. Can you tell us some tips for being more efficient with posting? Because it sometimes becomes overwhelming to keep going and doing it all the time.
You're right. Yeah. I find for myself, like actually great example today, I didn't tell you yet, but I actually took some time aside to make 3 videos for me to release for later on. So I would actually recommend creating your content in small bursts and saving it for later in the week. That way you're not necessarily having to create as you go. I find that that saves myself more time. As far as, as far as bundling the time together, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. And let's see, is there a tool that you like to use for posting online that you schedule with? Or do you go into each individual app and do that?
Yes, wow, that's a great question. As far as being more, there are certain apps, I believe like Sprout Social and other ones where you could schedule ahead of time, connect some of your different apps. For myself, while it may cost a little bit more time, I end up doing it individually. Sometimes in the past, when I've tried certain apps or certain programs, especially Instagram, they get suspicious of you. They're like, "Hey, are you some kind of hacker? Are you kind of, those kinds of things."
Yes.
I don't even sometimes I don't like I have given people access to my account too, but of course if they, that can also mess some things up. So give your account information to trusted people if you are posting on social media because they get very strict about that stuff. There is an issue with account security in general. Changing your password once in a while. I have all my passwords written down on different devices just in case something happens. But yes, for posting, I personally do it individually. Like I'll make one video and then just go to each different app, copy and paste the hashtags or the caption for all of them to at least save some time, and then take a break and do it some more later on. To save time, here's actually something I do
What?
for reels, I'll take a live stream or perhaps even like say an episode like this, and I'll just simply screen record 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'll post it without me having to necessarily create a new video. That's what I like also with podcasting as well, that you can clip highlights and throw them on social media really quick. So I went for today for a live stream I did a couple days ago. I just clipped three separate videos and put one of them all out on social media, and I'll do that again later on.
That's kind of what I do, and I don't know who you use to host your podcast. I know you used to use Anchor, which is now Riverside, which is what I use, but
Yes,
that
yes,
helps
Anchor.
make
Actually, Anchor was bought by Spotify, right? But then I think they also, yeah,
and
Riverside was bought.
Riverside. Yeah, so they're like interconnected, and
I use the
they
same one.
actually Okay, you do too. Okay. So they let you create little clips in their app for social media from your podcast videos, and then I post those throughout the week too. So that's a one way I save time
Yes.
posting. And then since you were talking about security, what about verified badges? Are they important on all of the platforms? Is it worth paying for like the TikTok, not TikTok, the X one or etc.? How has your experience been with that?
Yes, I would say it would have to depend on your personal situation because I'll just give you a little bit of a little bit of the background of that. When people were being several years ago, when there was some shenanigans happening on social media and more people impersonating different accounts and everything, I find, and actually this happened to me when I was a social media, when I was an intern for actually a minister for social media. Her account got to like the higher amounts, like the 10,000 followers, and all of a sudden her account got hacked. And it took a little while for her to get it back. She had some connections with people on Instagram and she got it back. As you become like, as your follower count grows, it might attract like, okay, like it might attract this kind of person. It can be an investment if you're wanting to protect your account. Some of my minister friends, they ended up paying for the blue check mark, even though it feels like a scam. So that's really what I meant from the beginning.
Right,
In my
right.
opinion, I think social media, they can do a better job with protecting the accounts and getting people back. It just seemed kind of iffy after a while where it's like, we're paying you to do that, but isn't it your job to do it? But some people ended up biting the bullet and paying for the blue badge, which shows, you're really the real person. But some people, and I've seen such situations where someone might have a blue badge, but what if they are an AI bot? What if they're not the real person? They can get impersonated
Right.
that way. So I would say your
Yes,
own
and then
personal experience.
right, and then the hesitancy of some people to upload a video or a picture of their ID, that's like another level. A lot of clients that I've had in the past are like, "No, I'm not doing that. I don't want to." Like, they already have my face everywhere. I don't want to give them my ID also. So, those are some things you think about. And also, have you noticed a change? Like, back in 2020, I remember people were very, very hesitant to use TikTok who were around our age and a little bit older because of who owned it. And have you noticed a change in that? Have more people come over to TikTok that you've noticed or anything around that?
You know what? Yes, I have seen that the rise and fall of when TikTok is like, look, we're being bought out or we're gonna end the app. I think personally it was a publicity stunt to drive up numbers, which
Right.
they clearly did get more in the past few years. There's this stuff about where people were threatening to go on another app called Red Note, which was like the Chinese
Yes.
competitor to it, but people would go on Red Note and post things that China doesn't like because they don't have freedom of speech, and then they would get kicked off the app. So it's just back to, all right, what's the government going to do? They did sell it to an American company called Oracle. But in my opinion, I don't know, they could still be kind of shady. I still notice some censorship and certain things happening on the app that happened before. Not to burst anyone's bubble to
Right.
say that maybe you're safer. It doesn't seem like China, well, we said that the country, it doesn't seem that they're involved in the process anymore, but you never know. So still be
Who
wary when
knows?
you're on TikTok about the information you give out.
Yes. Yes. Please don't post your notes behind you on your desk. Blur them out. And so then, in addition to TikTok, what is your other favorite place to do marketing?
Yes.
Tell us about your favorite.
My favorite ended up being, for the millennials out there and older, was actually Facebook, because Facebook is actually where my marketing had really taken off. Instagram is limited in really just more so the photos and the reels and stuff. Instagram is good if you want to sell certain products and gear it towards them. That's where I notice more people have the success. But Facebook, the long form, and X you could also grow on there similarly. Facebook is more geared for the long blog form. So for ministries having like highlights of sermons, their videos, their teachings. They seem to do very well on Facebook. And then on Instagram, I personally had trouble growing on there. I didn't mostly push like actual like products and stuff. But for people who were like already established and known, this is where I noticed like Facebook was the big thing way back in like, we're talking about 2010, 2000 in that era. And then Instagram came out later, which is also owned by Facebook. And then later on, you have like LinkedIn, YouTube, all these different apps. So it just came to like, oh, follow me on all the different platforms. So the people that got very famous on Facebook really first, people would then follow them on Instagram and then et cetera and et cetera. I recommend for social media marketing having at least one of each major account. I would say Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. If you do gaming, I say Twitch. Rumble is also a great place for video because they hardly censor content on there if you're more into doing political news. And
Right.
yeah.
I speaking of Rumble, have you noticed so back when Rumble came out, I felt like my videos got so many views. Is it still that way? I have not been using it in the past 3 or 4 years, but I'm just curious. Have you noticed that the video reach has been high, kind of like TikTok versus I notice YouTube reach is not quite as high unless you're doing the short form content. Any comments on Rumble? Because I used to get ridiculous amounts of views,
Wow.
which was crazy to me
Mhm.
when it first came out.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think you hit everything right on the head because, yeah, the YouTube shorts are really taking off because people with their attention span, they prefer shorter form content.
Yes.
And then with Rumble, more people are going to Rumble because they want like the political things and political and journalism, and especially like from alternative news. So yeah, I've noticed, yeah, the
Right.
numbers, even whether this is the funny thing where politics can be entertainment, whether the person's right or wrong, or they're just acting all gruff, that gets views. So,
Right.
no, if it worked for you in the past, I encourage you, yeah, yeah, go ahead and post some of your reels, your podcast reels back on Rumble as well.
Yes, I'm gonna have to do that. I haven't even thought about Rumble in several years.
Oh, they're still kicking. They're owned by a company in Canada apparently. So somehow they go around the
Huh,
censorship stuff. Yeah. They're not really monitoring as
that's
much
always
on
good.
on there.
That's good and bad.
Yeah.
And so let's see. For TikTok, I was surprised how many views the short form content gets. Like
Oh,
just some random video, 1,500 views or
yeah.
etc. Do you notice that you get a lot of views on the short form TikTok videos too? And from all
Yes.
over the place, not just locally.
Yes, I would say for the short form, it's because of what they count as a play. They say that 7 seconds is the shortest that you can have. So some people will make like very good, 7-second to 10-second videos, and that'll just be looping, that'll just be playing, and that'll just rack up more
Right.
plays. That's good if you want a video to go more viral. However, there's something called the Creator Rewards Program when you reach 10,000 followers, and that's when people are trying to make, like, basically money off the views. That gets very competitive, similar to YouTube, where you have to get, I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of views to get, like, a good amount of money from that. But for just having a video go more viral, I would say the short second clips. Like, again, for podcasting, 30-second reel, like, in your face, like, title, the text, the captions, grabbing people's attention, all the fun stuff. And then people will watch that. And then from there, even having a TikTok channel just for the reels of your podcast, and then linking it to your main podcast. Find full main episodes right here. Go to this link. Yes.
That's yes. And don't be dismayed when you first start out because you can't link to anything
Yeah.
in any of them, including YouTube. So that takes time.
Yes.
But you can do the old website parentheses .com,
Yes, you can. Yes.
DOT
Right in the
spelled.
video description.
Yes, you can. And so that's like you got to learn the tricks of the trade while you're starting out. And let's see, what is some advice you would give to a person wanting to start out getting monetized social media? Would you recommend them picking a specific niche? Would you recommend them picking certain topics? Can you tell us a little bit about how you would make that decision if you had no idea what you were doing and you just wanted to kind of try it and see what happens?
Yes. Well, I would say that, yes, instead of actually just picking like, let's say all 5 that we mentioned and just going for it, you could actually it's amazing with ChatGPT now, people using that to find out like even metrics and SEO. It would be, first of all, finding where your target audience actually is. So like, let's just say, for example, to make up a product, we could just say something like women's shampoo. You want to sell women's shampoo. Where are the women in their 30s? Where are they going on social media? It would be places like Pinterest. It would also be places like TikTok. Yeah, just finding out like when you figure out where they're going, that's the social media platform that you can start to post your things at. My friend who makes the cookies, she gets thousands of views on Pinterest, just posting little cutesy photos on that because Pinterest has, as far as I'm remembering for women, like a large percentage of Pinterest users are actually women. So I think that would save them some time because obviously no matter which platform they do, it's going to be like a lot of work. So identifying it first, maybe seeing how that goes, and then trying to test it on other platforms as well. For myself, Rumble has given me, views here and there and stuff, but I decided to just focus on like Facebook and TikTok more as I was testing things out. So where you find traction, I would just recommend putting more time into that as well. It's like, okay, over here on maybe Truth
And that's a
Social. Yeah. Oh yeah, like over here on Truth
that's another
Social,
thing you
I'm
have
not
to.
seeing posts, but I'll just focus on the other ones where I feel my analytics. Analytics are very
Yes.
important starting out.
Right. You have to think of like, oh, well, if I'm trying to connect with 65-year-old men, I want long form content and possibly on YouTube because it might be the only one they know how to log into. Or, Rumble because they're like of a certain political affiliation and they're like, oh, yeah, this is a free one or whatever. Women, like Aaron said, Pinterest, or women tend to like really short form content more than men. Men will watch slightly longer content typically. So those are things that you can think about. And let's see, anything you have to say on that, Aaron, like as far as narrowing down your target market, which is important? What have you done to find your specific niche where you need to go to reach your target customer? And how have you defined your target customers?
Yeah, that's very good questions. With my analytics, I would look at things like age and gender. And then from there, it actually ended up being, as far as with ministries and ministers, it was actually being proactive in conversation and actually making those connections very hands on, whether it was Facebook, TikTok, sending emails, adding friend, even things like that. Build up that like their familiarity with myself, and then really getting to know people more on a personal level as time allows, right? As time allows. And then that would connect me to more networks. So for example, when I was traveling more a couple years ago, I traveled to many different states that would give me access to other churches or other events and networks of people. And then from there, I'm able to ask, even for new people, I mean, like, hey, would you like me to interview you, have you come on the podcast? Would you, give me your information? We'll connect more on social media. I want to hear more about your business. Networking is really the number one way that you can grow, whether it's a ministry or it's a business. There aren't going to be people coming into your live room unless you have what they say on TikTok, your besties. You're going to make the besties, and you're not only are they there to help you, but you're also going to find ways to help them as well, and then grow as a community. And within that, I will
And
find the
that's
the age, gender, all those different factors for finding the target audience.
Yes, and so have you noticed, like, with your clients that you've had, I know I have, when they first start doing the online marketing, they say, "Oh my gosh, this is going to, like, be a miracle and happen so fast, and I'm going to get so many clients from this. And have you had to talk to your clients about why still you have to do in-person marketing and it goes along with your online marketing too, when you're starting out? Have you ever had to have that talk with your client?
Yes, I have many times because that's what I tell people in a sobering way to not put all your eggs in one basket. But when people first get a website, they're like, oh my gosh, it's out and all the people are going to come streaming in, right? But no, it has to do with
Right.
marketing. When people want to write a book, it is a skill that can be learned for anyone listening. You can write your first book, but you in the process will need to be marketing. You'll need to market to your target audience so that when you release the book ahead of time, you already have the people who know about your book, want to do all the pre-orders, and then you'll make your finances more through the sales of the book instead of the book, unfortunately, gathering dust at Barnes and Noble. You don't want that to happen to you. If you're writing a book, you're going to get to it with building up your network and even going on podcasts like this and talking about, like, hey, you got a book coming out. Do the marketing for your book and to get as many people to know that it exists. Many people, even with the website is a marketing magnet where people may find you, but there's other ways to be found
Right.
too. So remember to keep doubling down on all the ways that you have to connect with people. The website, the book, the podcast. Like I was doing a live stream the other day. I wasn't co-hosting my minister friend, but I happened to mention her about the soap. And one of the people in the comments was like, wow, that sounds amazing. I want to buy a soap. So I messaged her after the live stream that actually she ended up buying it. So I was like, I messaged my friend. I was like, hey, someone actually really wanted to buy your soap and stuff. And she's like, oh, thank you, Aaron. It happened on its own. With my original point about serving people, like the customers, the attraction, it is gonna come. Like widen your network, keep increasing, keep meeting people. Because even when we talk about ministry or evangelism, I'm getting to meet new people every day doing the live streaming, people emailing me for prayer and just like, getting to broaden my horizons that way. I think that's very important for personal growth. You cannot just go on stage, be the mega minister by yourself. Many of the people who are ministers have a wonderful spouse and have a community behind them. They did not get there all of a sudden with good looks and charisma. It's all about divine connections and community.
That is very true. Let's see. I'm going to see if I have any final questions for you. I was just thinking a little bit about in-person networking. What is something that you would recommend for a really shy or someone who calls themselves introverted? How do you start networking in person? And I'll give an example. When I first started networking, I literally made my first business logo in Paint because it was the only thing I had. It was really
Yes.
bad. I'm glad it no longer exists. And I asked my now friend, I was like, "Can you do a one-to-one with me?" And it was supposed to be a one-on-one coffee. So, do you have any tips for those who are starting out? You're not born the best networker and marketer in the room, for sure.
Yes, yes. I would say, and you're right, I think with small business, we end up having to wear a lot of hats. If I could hire someone it'd be great. I'll hire this person for campaigning, this person do the networking, this person. But I understand at first you may have to bite the bullet and do those things. I find I would consider myself introverted, but I've learned how to be extroverted as well. Just to let you know, I feel like getting to know people as an the introverted personality or one of the sides of a personality. They have different tests for that. Those people get very more confident as they get to know people, like say online. And I think like once you become comfortable with that, then maybe meeting the person locally, meeting them for coffee, even for job interviews, introverts, you have to meet with the person. So
Right.
it's another skill to practice after a while. I find like like even just doing live streaming or podcasting, you want to get hired to speak at a conference, put out your videos, put out your content. because the same people, this is actually very special. Many of the friends that I've made online or even through ministry, when I meet them in person, it feels like we've been like friends the entire time. It's not weird. It's like, oh yeah, I know you. This is the first time we're meeting, but I feel like I've known you a long time and this is normal. That's actually the opposite. My experience has been the opposite of what I thought it was. When you meet someone for the first time in person,
Right. And
building
that's
relationships.
I always joke with my husband about that, and I'm like, "That's why I like the sporting communities so much, like athletic people, because they make fast friends very quickly, and that might be why I'm also really extroverted because I like athletic things as well, and so it's good to hear the perspective from someone who may not be as good at getting out there and talking without being shy at first or a little apprehensive, and, 'cause I personally forget that not everyone likes to go up and stand on a stage and talk to people in an audience. 'Cause it just seems like, "Oh, yeah, what's the big deal?" So,
Yes. I mean, even
you
like
have
being
to
in front of a
remember that.
camera does not being in front of a camera doesn't feel natural, for an introverted person. And it's
No.
like that's just a skill to practice. Whether you're, I give this people, if you want a verse, the eyes of the Lord are literally watching the earth. So hey, you know, you've you got a camera on you all the time. You go ahead and get comfortable.
Right? And then that makes me think there was another topic we were talking about, and it was the poverty mindset. And
Yes.
one of my shortened verses that I do, like I try to come up with a phrase out of them sometimes. So mine right now is I'm gonna cough really fast, so I'll say it again. I always tell my husband, I'm like, God even takes care of the birds. And that's like my shortened version of the verse.
Will he not take care of you?
Right. So then I'm like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I like to say God even takes care of the birds to my husband because of the verse in the Bible where the sparrows don't they always find their meal too.
It's like, what would like do more than these sparrows? Like, do you not, you are worth more to me than these sparrows. Yeah.
Right. And so that's the thing. I don't know if you feel this way too, but like entrepreneurship, it can be hard
Hmm.
and scary, but having that faith is a big thing when you're an entrepreneur, even if you might not be Christian or of a certain belief set, that faith is really important
It is.
when it
Yeah.
comes to taking those steps out of your comfort zone. Do you have any good stories that you've experienced with that?
Yes, I have. Like my first ministry trip, there was a friend of mine that actually felt led by the Lord to buy a $50 gift card, and the Lord hadn't released them to give it to anyone, just to hold on to it. But when they ran into me at the conference, it was at the moment I was actually thinking about finances, like, to myself, and she came up to me and she was like, "Aaron, this $50 card is for you. The Lord is your provider and he will continue to provide."
That's
Last
amazing.
year,
I love that.
yeah, yeah. And, last year, when I felt called to go on a ministry trip, I didn't have the extra funds to go. But I just felt like, okay, Lord, if you want me to go, I'll just throw a Facebook campaign and leave it alone. That's it. It's like, God, you have to do it. And within a week, I was getting emails like, "Oh, God told me to give you this amount of money, give you this amount of money." So through that, the hotel was paid for, the plane was paid for, no credit card. I was able to go on the weekend, basically 3/3-day trip, 2-night trip, to Tennessee for a ministry conference. Everything was covered. And it was like, wow, God, like you did that. Like, when as you follow, like, your calling and what God wants you to do, he's gonna fund it. And that's how I've really lived my life, like, these past few years. We
Yes,
we have such an
and it
amazing
just
opportunity. Go ahead, go ahead.
do you ever find yourself then, like, second guessing? You've prayed about something and you're like, "Are you sure? Is that really what is gonna happen?" Like,
Mhm.
and then you kinda have to sell yourself that you're all in on what you just heard about. Do you have that happen to you often too? Or is that
Yes, I
just me?
do, I do. I feel that the enemy wants to lie to us about, like, like, "No, God didn't say this," or, "You're just this and this." But that's why we have the grace to be able to be like, "Okay, God," like, we can even ask for, like, confirmation and stuff. Like, for this particular example, people would be like, "God told me to give you like 250, or God told me to give you 200," and it would come at exactly the right time where when the money came in, I was able to get the plane ticket, and it was the last one leaving on Sunday, or when another like PayPal or Cash App came in, it was enough to cover the hotel, which was the last hotel room at the discount. So several times he would confirm it in the process where I was able to just relax and be like, okay. like we can, it's not testing God, but it's asking for confirmation like Gideon did. When Gideon was unsure and he was
Right.
struggling with doubt. And then that actually shuts up the lies of the enemy because at that point, when the plane and the hotel is booked, I'm like, I'm gonna get out of my flesh, right? Like, we're good. I think God wants me to
Right.
go. Mhm,
Yes. Well, I don't know about you, but I get like, I think of them and I'm like, this is a crazy idea. How did that come into my head?
mhm.
You know? And also, like, I'm one of those type of people who likes to do crazy things because I think it's fun. Like, yeah, let's go jump out of an airplane. That sounds like a good thing, good time to me. So, like, I forget that other people are not that way. And I think that's also why I like athletic stuff too. Like I was saying, because there's a lot of crazy people in athletics. Um, and so business, we're all a little bit crazy because not crazy, but we get more comfortable with taking leaps of faith that may seem crazy to someone else
You know,
watching
we
you do
we
it.
we we grew up, I think, we want to conquer some of this, the broken system, whether it's the financial system or with the way that we were trained in the educational system, where, if you look at the educational system, the bell going off at different times, the teacher, which is your authority figure, like it's like in a way you were trained to listen to a boss one day to work in a corporation. Now, when I say that, I mean, I'm not saying corporations are bad. I'm not saying it's okay to do those things. But you can see how the educational system was geared to raise up young workers, not entrepreneurs. Because when you become an entrepreneur, you're going against the system. And actually the
Yeah.
stock market is
Yes.
very built on corporations doing well. So the education system is
Hmm.
training people to go into the corporations, which help the stock market. But when you decide to break off from that, there's all this like backlash that seems to happen. But um,
Yeah,
y- yeah, for the chance
definitely.
to make
I
more.
wrote that
Go ahead.
I wrote that in my book. It's like when you do something what other people view as crazy, there's gonna be like all these people who love you so much and they're like, "Don't do it. It's a bad idea." Or "That's scary. Maybe do this instead." And then I'm crazy enough that I not crazy, but entrepreneurial enough to be like, "No, I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna be old one day and regret this."
Yes, right.
So I just have to do it. And it might seem crazy to you, but this is what I must do it.
You know, I
So that's
had
an
I had that
encouragement.
moment I had that moment that, I'm remembering this now when I was, I've worked several jobs when I was younger, like Panera Bread, CVS, Starbucks, all of those. I got to a point when I was like, "Do I really want to be doing this particular job the rest of my life?" And that kind of gave me a scare. There was a vocational school that it was almost season for school. So I actually applied for like basically FAFSA. In Florida, it's for the scholarship. And I ended up getting it. And it was a full ride for 1 year at the vocational school, taking 40 to 50 hours for digital design. So I really felt that was a taking risks, maybe it couldn't have paid off, but I wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have tried. I don't want to get to 70 or 80 years old and be like, "Oh man, well, okay, I really feel like I could have wrote a book, you know? I really feel I could have tried out a business." Like, I don't want to get to an old age and not have regrets and have regrets. I would rather say that I tried and I failed rather than not try at all. How would I have known? And that opportunity could have been something to really help, my family growing up or help with finances, all those different things. those risks are worth it.
Yes, and I feel like I don't know about you, but, like, I feel as though God puts those things on your heart, and, there's always someone that's like, "No, don't do that," and especially I've found when you have kids. I have 4 kids and my oldest is 5, and people are like, "Oh, well, you have kids now, you can't do anything." I'm like, "No, I have to do both because I'm being a good example for my children," and like you were saying in the education system, two, when you become an entrepreneur, you really have to unlearn a lot of those bad habits that you learned in the school system. I don't want to call them bad habits, but they're bad if you wanted to be an entrepreneur because it makes decision making harder and it makes things more stressful. And so I agree with you on that it's just different. And I remember the first time I started a business, which was not a great business, but it was a learning experience for me. I had someone come up to me and they're like, "Okay, just so you know, you were a zoo animal and now you're one of those crazy gazelles or a lion running on the open." And it is kind of like that because I'm like, "Oh, I am the gazelle. Someone could eat me if I don't keep going. I'm not protected by the fence." And I thought that was an amazing analogy. I can't even remember what the person's name was, but I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so true. It's so true." And I like to end my show, Erin, by asking what are your 2 favorite books right now, and you can't say one that you have written, and then any piece of advice you would like to offer my target audience, which is younger families with kids, like kids from little to just out of the house or in college. Any advice that you would like to offer and 2 books that you would recommend?
All right. Let's start off with the books first. I actually hadn't said it for the whole interview, but one thing that was the most primary major thing that helped me was I got introduced to my mentor, Krista Alicia, who is an apostolic leader, mentoring program, conferences, events. Learned a lot from her. And actually, I wouldn't be the minister I am if it wasn't for her. She wrote a book called Unbreakable Embrace. And this covers, it's actually a devotional for talking to God as Father and allowing Him to heal wounds from childhood. It's coupled with verses. It's like a workbook. So I would actually recommend that for people who have had father wounds in the past. I had them because my parents got divorced in high school. So that book had really helped me through some tough times. I will also say for my second book, the newest book by Krista Alicia, which is called Born for Battle. It covers the aspects of spiritual warfare and for current events. So if you ever wanted to know more about angels and demons and what is happening with people trying to compare everything to World War III in the book of Revelation, I'd recommend for you to get that book. So we have Unbreakable Embrace and then Born for Battle.
Put those in the description for those of you who will forget to write it down. And that will be me. That'll be me. It's me. And then what is your sage piece of advice that you would like to offer? It can be on our topic or it's something that's like very near and dear to your heart that you like to share.
Yes, I would say for, anyone listening, if you're feeling like you're behind when it comes to business or marketing, I Imma tell you it's not, because the most important calling that you have is a parent, and seeing those kids, like, grow up and all the little fun things like holding their hand, and they're gonna be at that age for a certain amount of time, and that's not time that you get back. Some people, like some of my friends are in their and they are now really stepping out with business after taking care of their children. You can't I know it's a sacrifice to do it when you're younger and have children, but even just I tell people if you want to write a book, start with the table of contents. Every little step helps. If you are wanting to do that business, do the things, it takes sacrifice, but your kids will see that as well as you're growing up with them, and we're all just we're on this journey together, like with us and God, and He wants us all to prosper. I have my pocket Bible here. 3rd John verse 2 says, "Beloved, I desire above all else that you may prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers." There is the connection between our physical health, soul health, and even our finances. So when we work on ourselves, we get that inner healing, we work through trauma. That'll set you up also for financial success.
Was a beautiful piece of advice. Thank you for joining me today. It has been a pleasure, my friend. It has been a long time since we have talked. And as always, I had a great time chatting with you.
I had a great time. It was great to reconnect, and catch up, the business, the social media, all the fun stuff. I love what God is doing. He's kept us here for a reason, and we will continue on boldly and proudly, confidently in our God.
That's right. That's right. And maybe chaotically, but with confidence. Thanks for joining me today on the Emily Rassam Show. If you laughed, learned something, or at least didn't roll your eyes too hard, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, keep the coffee strong, your kids alive, and the dreams big.